Hey guys, it's Beginnings here. I hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your week so far. Today's video is going to be on what I think is the strongest support right now, Xeniel. I know I've made videos on Xeniel before and I was kind of iffy on how good he was, but after AWC and just learning how to support better in competitive and seeing the best supports in the world play him, he's really strong, guys. He's one of the few heroes in this game who scale on HP, and since you're support, you're a tank, you're going to be building a ton of HP anyways, so you basically become like an actual hero, right? Your ult is insane. It gives a 40% damage reduction for 2.2 seconds, also giving an AoE heal. You have a pretty big ass shield, and you have CC, you have everything. You're great. This game, I start on the same side of the map as my jungler, because I know that I can rotate down after my mid laner clears his first wave. I do start Waterstone, something I've been doing more, because Waterstone is basically as good as you can make it. If you can use all of your stacks as they come up, you're gonna be a rich boy, like a really rich boy. And it's always a good thing, or not always, it's usually a good thing to help your mid laner clear so they can clear first and you can rotate faster. As you can see there, instead of just rotating down, Tulin decides that he's going to try to poke the Illumia, and then he ends up getting caught out by the Thane. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate down here, and we do end up securing first blood, helping out our Richter against that key. Lindis goes towards mid. I'm going to help this Richter clear his lane because we want to deny as much gold as possible for the enemy. And in case you guys didn't know, minions are worth less gold under tower, so it's better to clear wave first, then take bird. And then I'm going to walk up here, so my jungle has vision while he does sentinel. He knows that he's not going to be in any trouble. I just walk up here, try to help out our Tulin a little bit. I go ahead and pop heal, make sure he's pretty healthy, especially if the enemy team seems to be setting up for this dragon. Unfortunately, Tulin does die anyways, but we have enough pressure around dragon that the enemy team really isn't going to be able to do too much. Just going ahead and zoning as best as I can. See, Thane isn't in a position to contest. I just go ahead and walk up to Illumia to make sure that she is not either. We do manage to secure this dragon, and my jungler is going to go back into his jungle. So I kind of want to hang out around mid and bot. I am going to be hitting 4 fairly soon, so I'm going to start soaking a little bit more than usual, just so I can make sure I hit that 4, because that is a very big power spike for me. I was debating ulting in here, but then the Illumia ult happens, and I thought that Richter would be fine, but I guess he dashed back in instead of dashing away, and he died, unfortunately. I definitely could have saved him with my ult. That was my bad. He definitely overstays a little bit, but unfortunately my knockup does not hit her. We're just going to go ahead and push in this wave, make sure our jungler is getting as much gold as possible, and we are using those stone stacks like I mentioned before. We're just going to go ahead and rotate up with our jungle. The great thing about Xeniel and Lindis is that Lindis can generally get vision for herself, and even if I'm not on top of Lindis, I will be able to peel for her just because I can go ahead and throw my ult at her whenever. We're just going to go ahead and walk up here first. We know that there's around 4 people around. I go ahead and pop my ult onto Fennec because I see that he's tanking quite a bit of damage. Not only does it save Fennec, but it also keeps my team pretty healthy, so we can establish some control over this. I go ahead and start this dive onto Talanis. I should have popped my shield, but I wanted the extra bit of HP. I'm tanking enough so that Fennec gets out. Unfortunately, even though I popped my heal, Lindis does end up falling because Illumia gets her full combo off. This fight is insane. It's super like drawn out. You see Enzo thinks he's gonna kill me, but he ends up getting slowed by the Fennec ult, and somehow only one person died through all of that. Pretty crazy. But I mean, it's rigged, so miscommunication and sloppy fights are the name of the game, huh? So my jungle just goes back into his jungle clear when he respawns. I have my ult up soon. I always take the enchantment that reduces my ult cooldown. It's very, very strong on Xeniel, especially once I get Frost Cape and Medallion of Troy with that 20% CDR. And if I have the right Arcana, the extra 6% on top of that. Like, my ult is up very, very often. It's pretty hard for anybody to jump onto my backline at that point. You see we walked up to the left because Thane and Key can't really wave clear very well, but Illumia can, so I wanted to keep her away for as long as possible. Telanus does overstep and falls there, which is really good for us. It means that we have quite a bit of pressure here, not only in this fight, but on the top side of the map. I go ahead and jump onto the Key, but Thane has really good counter engage. We definitely overcommitted for those kills, and we will be punished for it. If you actually go back a few seconds, you can see there was a small bug with my shield where I casted it and it just immediately exploded instead of like actually giving me the shield. And I was really confused when I jumped in on top of that Key and then my shield was completely gone. I was very shocked, but bugs happen. It's Arena Valor. Like, it's nothing to go up in arms about. They're always going to be there. Lindis does a smart thing and goes into the jungler's topside jungle. That's good because any gold that you take away from the enemy is basically effectively worth double, right? Like, if there's a gold piece on the ground and there's an enemy jungler apart or on the other side of the gold piece, if you take that gold piece, you have 1 gold, they have 0. Whereas if you both get a gold piece, it's 1-to-1, right? So it's just better to always take the enemy's jungle. I go ahead and pop my ult onto the Fennec. It was definitely a little bit late, and I will not be able to secure the kill onto the Enzo here. He is just way too fast. But we will, I think, get the kill onto the Thane here. He did a pretty smart thing there by dashing back into us. It definitely stops us from killing the person with him. I think it was the Telanus. Yes, it was the Telanus. That's fine, but since he's dead, we can definitely make our way into the jungle and establish our dominance over the top side. Telanus is pretty chunked, Lindis is very fed, Thane is dead, and that just is a recipe for disaster for the enemy team. We're going to go ahead and push down the mid tower, then go into their blue side jungle, but Enzo does already have it. I'm going to try to create some space for my bot laner here so he can push into that tower. We are not committing for a fight here. That is something very important to remember. We want to create space. We do not want to fight. We won't be able to secure that bot tower yet, but we will go ahead and clear mid and make our way towards top side. You can see we are just out-tempoing the enemy team very, very hard. That's one of the strongest things about Lindis. I see Richter is getting his ass kicked, so I go ahead and ult in onto him and help him out just a little bit. We interrupt Key's little rend ability and get her with her shield explosion. Unfortunately, my ult is down for a little bit, so my ADC has to be a little bit more careful. Because Key is dead, oh, just kidding, Illumia went ahead and rotated down, but I think we do end up killing her when Tulin rotates down in just a minute. Richter is very patient. I start rotating up because I see that Tulin is messing with Enzo a little bit, but Enzo is backing out. Richter, like I mentioned before, is very patient with his weight here, and we will end up securing the kill onto the Illumia. A very nice flicker knockup from Richter, making sure that we do end up killing her. Key is back, so I know it's going to be pretty hard for us to take this tower, but I will do my best to zone. Fennec does rotate down because he pushed out his top wave, and there's no top tower. We will go for this blue buff here, and we do secure it. We have tons of control, and I'm like, you know what, why not? Let's just do Darkslayer. We just saw that Telanus was top. The only person here to stop us is Thane, and I go ahead and get off of the Darkslayer to make sure that he cannot do anything crazy. Key jumps into us thinking that she's going to kill Fennec, but boy, that was probably a bad idea. I get a nice knockup onto the Enzo, and we will be able to keep killing him. I throw my ult down onto the Lindis because I knew that he was going to dive. It is Zane, and I wanted to get that 40% damage reduction onto him. and that just makes it so he can safely kill the Illumia, and it will be very hard for them to defend this next push that we have. All that's there is Talanis, and Talanis is not the best at defense, especially against two very fed ADCs and a Xeniel, Tulin, and Richter. She's not going to be able to get anywhere near this wave. Fennec pings retreat, and it's probably a good idea. We definitely should have backed off a lot sooner. My jump in does get interrupted by the Illumia ult, and then I get pushed away. Thane falls, but Lindis goes deep. You can see my ult is up in 3 seconds, and I'm just barely able to get it off before he dies. Unfortunately, he still does fall, and I'm put in a pretty awkward situation because I didn't have any chance to prepare for this fight by casting my shield beforehand. I think we end up getting the bot tower anyways, so it's fine. I just probably should have let Lindis die instead of going in. That's probably one of the biggest things about Xeniel, is knowing when to ult. It's really easy to waste your ult as him, and probably the only like skill cap thing I'd say. The rest of Xeniel is just macro, especially when you have a side laner like Richter, in competitive at least. You almost turn into like a split pusher, except you're always on the defense side of things. So anyways, enough about competitive. I see that Richter is getting caught. I wait for the Illumia ult to go down, and then I go ahead and throw my ult down onto the Richter to make sure I am not interrupted. Mans does live. Thankfully, Enzo rather does fall. I'm not sure if that was a result of that fight specifically or what. I don't want to go back. I'm just going to do my voiceover. Because I had to use my ult onto Richter, Lindis does need to be a bit careful here. I was afraid of him getting caught out, so I popped my heal for that little bit of speed up and I guess to discourage the enemies. I don't know how to explain it. You can see throughout this game, I have been walking up past turrets. It's not my job to hit the turret. It is my job to zone for it. Like whenever we push bot, I walk into that little corridor, and here you can see I was standing between the two towers. I am trying to create space here for my team to push that tower. Unfortunately, Fennec was tanking the tower the entire time, so he's really low, and so we're not really able to fight after we take that tower. I definitely overcommitted a little bit. Probably one of the biggest downfalls of Xeniel is the fact that once he goes in, it's very hard for him to get out. Right? He's kind of a sitting duck. So you have to have your team to either engage first or follow you up really well, right? That definitely makes the most sense here. The game's gonna be over in a minute. Like, obviously our misplays just kind of postponed the inevitable. I see that Lindis is going to be in a little bit of trouble here, so I immediately just ult her as I respawn. I do a pretty good job of abusing that little trick where you can kind of jump over walls to extend the range of your dash, and because of that, we get a pretty nice little pick onto the Talanis. All 5 of them are dead, or 4 of us are alive, so we will be able to end the game here. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it. Xeniel is definitely my favorite support right now. Super fun to play, very satisfying. Please be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you guys have enjoyed this content, and I will see you next time. See ya.